close your eyes if they aren't already closed. Not because something is about to begin, because something is about to be remembered. Something your body already knows, has always known, that the noise of the day makes temporarily difficult to access. You don't need to do anything with this hour except receive it. That is the only instruction. Not a technique, not a practice that requires effort or correct execution. Simply this: be here and receive what is offered. The Buddhist tradition has always understood something that modern approaches to sleep often miss. The mind cannot be forced into stillness. Every attempt to force it creates more noise. The noise of the forcing itself, added to whatever was already there. And so the ancient teachers developed a different approach. Not force, not suppression, not the willpower application of attention to the task of becoming unconscious. They developed guided meditation, a specific form of spoken accompaniment that does something subtle and powerful. It gives the thinking mind something to follow, just enough to keep it occupied, while the deeper processes begin their work underneath. Like giving a restless child something to hold, so that they forget, gradually, that they were restless. This is that kind of hour. The words will carry you, not to a destination. There is no destination to reach tonight, except the one your body is already moving toward, but along a path that others have walked, in other darknesses, in other bodies, arriving at the same place you are moving toward now. Let the breath deepen slightly, not forced, invited, as if the breath had been waiting for permission to become what it naturally wants to be when nothing is required of it. Feel the surface beneath you, the particular arrangement of support that is holding your body right now. Trust it completely. It has been holding you this whole time. It will continue. And now, simply follow. The body settling. Begin with awareness at the top of the head. Not analyzing, not searching for sensation. Simply noticing whatever is present at the top of the head. Warmth, perhaps, or the faint memory of the pillow's contact. Or simply the top of the head existing, part of you, part of this moment. Let the awareness move slowly downward to the forehead, the space between the eyebrows, which carries tension so habitually that you may not notice it's there until attention arrives and finds it. Let whatever is there soften, not forcing, allowing. The way a fist softens when the reason for holding it closed is removed. The eyes closed, resting behind the lids. The muscles around the eyes, which have been working all day, reading, responding, navigating the visual world, can rest now. There is nothing to see in this darkness that requires effort. Let them be simply closed, simply at rest. The jaw. This is where so much is held, the words not said, the tension of conversations managed, the quiet clenching that happens under stress and that you carry forward long after the stress has passed. Let the jaw soften now. Let the teeth part slightly if they have been together. Let the tongue rest in the bottom of the mouth rather than pressing against anything. The throat, where the breath moves in and out. Feel it, the slight movement of air passing through, cool on the inhale, slightly warmer on the exhale. The throat doesn't need to do anything right now. It only needs to remain open, which it does, effortlessly, without your management. The shoulders, the place where the weight of the day accumulates most visibly. Feel them now, whatever their position, and ask gently whether they could descend even slightly, not forcing them down, simply noticing whether the held position is necessary, and if it isn't, allowing gravity to do what gravity always wants to do. The arms, heavy now. The hands, which have been doing things all day, can rest open or lightly closed, whichever is more natural, and simply be hands, not instruments, not tools, just hands, resting, belonging to a body that is settling. The chest, feel it rise and fall with each breath, the rhythm of it, this rhythm that has been constant since before you were born, that will continue long after tonight. That does not need your attention to continue, but that, when you bring your attention to it, offers something valuable in return. The belly, soft now, releasing the holding that the upright body maintains all day, the slight engagement that posture requires. In this horizontal position, in this moment, nothing requires holding. Let the belly be completely at ease. The lower back, the hips. Feel the contact with the surface beneath you, the weight of the pelvis resting, the lower back finding its natural curve, the whole central structure of the body releasing the work of being vertical. The legs, heavy, longer than they feel when you're walking. When you're walking, they are always in motion, always in service of getting somewhere. Right now, they are going nowhere. They can be simply heavy, simply resting, simply belonging to a body that has no more places to take them tonight. The feet, the ankles, the toes, the furthest parts of the body from the thinking mind. Let awareness rest there for a moment, not doing anything with it, just visiting. And then let it soften, dissolve, release. The whole body now. Feel it as a whole rather than in parts. A complete thing, a system that has been running continuously all day and that is now receiving what it has been needing, the permission to stop running, to simply be a body, horizontal, held, resting. The breath continues. You don't need to manage it. The heart continues. You don't need to manage that either. Everything that needs to continue will continue. Everything that has been doing more than it needs to do can rest. You are the body. The body is resting. That is all that is happening right now. That is enough. The breath as home. There is a practice that Buddhist meditators have used for thousands of years. It requires nothing except the breath, which you already have. The practice is this. For a moment, let the breath be all that there is, not suppressing everything else, not fighting with the thoughts or the sensations or whatever else arises. But for the length of one breath, let the breath be what the attention rests on. The in-breath, following it from the moment it begins, feeling the slight expansion of the chest and belly, the air moving inward through the nose, cool and carrying whatever the night air carries, and then the pause, the brief, complete pause at the top of the inhale, where the breath is neither coming nor going, where there is a moment of pure fullness, and then the out-breath, longer than the in-breath usually, the body releasing what it took in, the slight contraction, the warmth of the exhaled air. And then, at the bottom of the exhale, another pause, a moment of emptiness before the next breath begins. In, pause, out, pause, in, pause, out, pause. The meditators called this the 4 parts of the breath, and they noticed something about the pauses, the pause at the top and the pause at the bottom. That was important. In the pauses, there is no breath, and in the absence of breath, for those brief moments, the thinking mind has nothing to hold on to. The commentary, the analysis, the planning, all of that requires a kind of continuous motion to sustain itself. And the pause at the bottom of the breath is a moment of such complete stillness that the commentary briefly stops. And in that stopping, something else is briefly audible. The silence that underlies everything. The quiet that is always there beneath the noise. The peace that doesn't depend on conditions. This is what the meditation teachers were pointing at when they taught breath awareness. Not the breath itself. The breath was the vehicle. The destination was the pause. The gap, the moment of pure emptiness at the bottom of the exhale, where the self momentarily has nothing to do. You don't need to do anything with this information. Simply breathe. And when you reach the bottom of the next exhale, that moment when everything has been released and the next breath hasn't begun, rest there for just an instant. Notice what is present in the absence of breath, and then let the next breath come, and breathe toward the next pause. And in the pauses, find what has always been there. In, pause, out, pause. Each breath a small journey, each pause a brief homecoming. The whole night ahead of you. You have nowhere to be except here, at home, in the breath, at home, in the pause, at home. The river of thoughts. The mind is producing thoughts right now. This is not a problem. This is what minds do. It is as natural as the heart producing beats or the lungs producing breath. The mind thinks. This is its nature. And at no point in the practice of meditation, in any tradition, does the thinking actually stop. What changes is not the thinking. What changes is the relationship to the thinking. Imagine a river. The river is always moving. It carries things, leaves, sticks, occasionally something larger. The water moves continuously from somewhere to somewhere, following its nature, doing what rivers do. Now imagine standing on the bank. From the bank, you can watch the river without being in it. You can see the leaves and the sticks moving past. You can notice the patterns of the current, how it eddies near the bank, how it moves faster in the center, how sometimes the same leaf circles back before finally continuing downstream. This is the shift the meditation teachers were pointing at. Not stopping the river, not emptying the river of its contents, but moving, in awareness, from the middle of the river to the bank, from being in the current to watching the current. The thoughts that are moving through your mind right now, plans, memories, half-formed concerns, fragments of conversation, images from the day. Let them be the river. Let them move. Let them carry their contents. Let them be exactly what they are. And let your awareness be the bank. Watching. Not following the thoughts downstream. Not picking up the leaves and examining them. Just watching. Noticing that something is moving. Noticing what kind of movement it is. And returning, gently, to the watching position whenever you notice you've fallen in. Because you will fall in. This is normal. This is what happens. The mind is habituated to identification, to being in its own current, to following its own thoughts wherever they lead. Breaking the habit of a lifetime takes more than one evening. But each time you notice you've fallen in, each time you catch yourself downstream, caught up in a thought, is a moment of success, not failure. Success. Because the noticing is itself the practice. The noticing is the bank. You can't notice from the middle of the river. If you're noticing, you're already on the bank. So, every moment of noticing, no matter how many times it happens, no matter how often you find yourself carried downstream, is exactly right. Right now, whatever is moving through the mind, let it be the river. And you are the bank, watching, present, still. The river moves, you remain. A teaching from the mountain. There was a monastery on the side of a very large mountain. The mountain was so large that on most days, from the monastery, you could not see the summit. The clouds sat around it at a certain height, and above the clouds was something that the monks who lived there had never seen with their own eyes. Though they knew from the reports of those who had climbed it that the summit existed, was clear, was extraordinary in what it offered. A young monk who had recently joined asked one of the older monks about this. "Does it bother you?" he asked. "To live your whole life in sight of something you can never fully see?" The older monk thought about this. "I used to think I couldn't see it," he said finally. "I used to look up at the clouds and feel something like frustration. The summit was there. I was here. The clouds were between us." He paused. "But then I spent enough time watching the mountain that I noticed something. The clouds move. They are always different. Sometimes thicker, sometimes thinner. Sometimes in the early morning or the late evening, the light hits them in a way that makes the whole sky above the monastery glow. And occasionally, rarely, maybe a few times a year, the wind clears everything and the summit is visible. Bright and impossible, and just there, above everything." He looked at the young monk. "I realized that the clouds are not hiding the summit. The clouds are part of what the mountain is, from here. The summit exists whether I can see it or not. And the clouds are their own kind of beauty when you stop treating them as an obstacle." The young monk looked up at the mountain, which was, at this moment, entirely shrouded. "So you stopped being frustrated?" he asked. "I stopped needing the summit to be visible to appreciate the mountain," said the older monk, which turned out to be the same thing as stopping being frustrated. He smiled slightly. "The summit is always there, even when I cannot see it, even on the days when the clouds are so thick that I can barely see the lower slopes. It is there. My inability to see it at any given moment tells me nothing about whether it exists." The young monk sat with this for a long time and began, over the years, to apply it to other things, to the peace he was seeking, which sometimes felt present and sometimes felt entirely hidden, to the clarity he hoped to achieve, which arrived occasionally like the cleared summit and then disappeared again behind the clouds of ordinary life. The clarity is always there, he learned. The peace is always there. The clouds move. The summit remains. And the days of cloud are not absence. They are part of what the mountain is. The peace you are looking for tonight is always there. Even on the nights it is hardest to feel. Even when the mind is busy and the thoughts are thick and the rest seems just out of reach, the summit exists. The clouds are part of what the mountain is from here. And this night, with its particular quality of cloud, its particular arrangement of thoughts and tiredness and whatever else is present, this is part of the journey up the mountain, not an obstacle to peace. The mountain itself, you are already on it. You have always been on it. The summit is there, even now, even through everything. Trust it. Walking the inner path. There is a form of Buddhist meditation called walking meditation. In its formal version, it is practiced in a specific place and in a specific way. A short path, walked back and forth, with attention given to each component of each step. The lifting of the foot, the moving of the foot forward, the placing of the foot down, the shifting of weight, the lifting of the next foot, the whole body's attention, which normally distributes itself across the entire landscape of experience, gathered into the single point of each step. But there is another form of walking meditation that doesn't require moving at all. It requires only the imagination of movement, the visualization of a path, and the quality of attention that walking meditation develops, the complete presence in each moment, the unwillingness to get ahead of where you actually are, the trust that the next step will come when it is time for the next step. Tonight, in this stillness, you can walk. Imagine a path. It can be any path, one you know from life, one you've never seen but can picture clearly, one that simply appears as you reach for it, a forest path perhaps, with the particular quality of light that filters through trees in the late afternoon, or a coastal path above the sea, or a mountain path through open grass with long views in every direction. Choose your path. Let it become real enough to feel beneath your feet. Now, walk it. Slowly. With the attention of the walking meditator who has given everything to this one act. Feel the ground beneath each foot. Feel the slight changes in terrain, the soft places and the firm places, the slight inclines and declines. Feel the air around you, whatever temperature, whatever quality, whatever it carries. Don't think about where the path leads. Don't plan. Don't try to arrive anywhere. Simply take the next step, and then the next. Feeling each one completely, giving each one the fullness of your attention before the next one asks for it. And if the mind wanders, if the path disappears and you find yourself somewhere else entirely, simply return. Find the path again. Take the next step. Come back to the feeling of the ground beneath your feet on a path that goes wherever it goes, in no hurry, asking nothing except presence. This path is yours. It will take you wherever you need to go, which tonight is here, always here, one step at a time, here. The teaching of the empty hand. A student asked a master, "What do I need in order to find peace?" The master held out his open hand. Empty, palm upward. The student looked at it. "Nothing?" he asked. "Nothing," said the master. What you need in order to find peace is precisely nothing, not the absence of everything. You have what you have, your life, your history, your circumstances, but the addition of nothing, no new technique, no new understanding, no achievement that must be reached before peace becomes available. Peace is not found by adding something. It it is found by noticing what is already present when you stop adding. The student was quiet. "But I add things constantly," he said. "That's what the mind does. It adds. Commentary, judgment, plan, revision, always adding something to the bare experience." "Yes," said the master. "And what would happen if, for one breath, you didn't?" The student tried it. One breath. No commentary on the breath. No plan for the next breath. No judgment about whether the breath was good or bad or correct or deep enough. Just the breath. Bare itself. Something happened in that breath that the student found difficult to describe. Not peace, exactly. Too fleeting to call it that, but a glimpse of something. A texture of experience that was different from the usual. Cleaner, more direct, less filtered. "What was that?" he asked after the breath. "That," said the master, "was the experience without the story about the experience. That was what is actually here when you stop adding what isn't here." He closed his hand gently, then opened it again. "The hand is most capable when it is open," he said. "An open hand can receive, can offer, can feel what is actually placed in it. A closed hand can only hold what it has already grasped." He looked at the student. The mind that is always adding is a closed fist. It cannot receive what is actually present because it is too busy holding what it brought with it. Open the hand, not permanently, not as a renunciation of thought or planning or the ordinary operations of a life, but for tonight, for these hours, for the space of one breath at a time. What is actually here when you stop adding what isn't? The breath, the body, the darkness, the quiet, the awareness that holds all of it, open, available, complete. This is what was always here. This is what was always peace. Nothing added. Everything present. The night that holds everything. This night, this specific, unrepeatable night, is holding you, not metaphorically. The darkness is a real presence. The quiet is a real presence. The particular quality of this night, its temperature, its sounds, or lack of them, the way the light from whatever source falls or doesn't fall, the way the air moves or stays still, all of this is real. All of it is here. All of it is part of the moment you are actually in. And you are in it. Not observing it from a distance. Not waiting for it to pass. In it. Part of it, the way a fish is in water, not observing water from elsewhere, but constituted by and within the medium of water. You are in this night the way the fish is in the water. It surrounds you. It holds you. It is the element you move through, the context of your existence right now. And this night, like all nights before it, is doing what nights do. It is making room for the rest that the day didn't have room for the processing that happens in the dark, below the threshold of conscious awareness, for the small repairs that the body makes, quietly and without fanfare, while the managing self is somewhere else, for the dreams that arrive when the curator of waking experience steps away and the deeper mind arranges its own exhibition. The night is not empty. It is the most populated time of your existence, populated by processes you never see, by a wisdom the waking mind cannot access, by the deep continuity that carries you from one day to the next, without ever asking for your help. Trust it. The night knows what it's doing. It has been doing this since before there were minds sophisticated enough to be uncertain about it. You can rest inside that trust. Complete trust. Not the tentative trust of someone who half believes but keeps one eye open. Complete. The kind that is possible because it has been proven every night of your life reliable. The night will hold you. It is already holding you. Let it hold all of you. The return. Every meditation, every sitting, every guided practice, every moment of genuine stillness ends with a return. A return to the ordinary operations of the mind, to the agenda of the day, to the responsibilities, to the self that has things to manage and places to be and decisions to make. But tonight's meditation does not end with a return. Tonight's practice ends with a deepening. Instead of returning to the ordinary mind, we continue deeper into the stillness. Instead of the session ending and wakefulness resuming, the session ends and sleep. That deeper meditation, that complete surrender, that nightly proof of the continuity, continues what has been begun. This is the rare gift of guided meditation for sleep. The practice doesn't end when the guidance ends. The guidance ends. The practice continues. Deeper, less attended, less narrated. Into the territory that words cannot follow, because words belong to the waking mind, and the waking mind is beginning to step back, beginning to release its management of the experience, beginning to trust the deeper processes to do what they know how to do, which they do every night, faithfully. Without your help, there is nothing left to do. The body has been visited, the breath has been found and followed and rested in. The thoughts have been watched from the bank. The path has been walked in stillness. The hand has been opened. The night has been trusted. What remains is the simplest thing. Be here, in this body that is resting, in this breath that is deepening, in this night that is holding, in this peace that was never absent, only temporarily covered, and that is now, as the covering thins, becoming audible again. You can hear it. That steadiness underneath everything. That quiet that has always been there. That peace that doesn't depend on anything except your willingness to stop looking for it somewhere else. It is here. You are in it. Rest now into the depth of it, into the complete, profound, ancient peace of a body that has done its day's work, and a mind that has found its way back to the stillness it never left. Rest. Good night. Deepening the stillness. Notice the quality of your breath right now. It has probably changed from when you began, not because you forced it to change, because something has been happening quietly in the background, beneath the stories and the guided movements and the steady presence of words accompanying you through the dark. The body, given any amount of genuine stillness, begins to do what it knows how to do. The breath slows, not dramatically, not in a way that feels like anything is being withheld, but it finds a more natural rhythm, longer, fuller, more completely itself than it is during the day when the breath is always adjusting to the demands of speaking and moving and responding. This is the breath of a body beginning its rest. Let it deepen. Again, not by forcing it, by simply noticing it. by giving it your attention the way you give a stream your attention when you sit beside it, without trying to change its flow, without needing it to be other than what it is. Simply present with it, simply receiving what it offers. In, the air arriving, the slight expansion, the fullness at the top. Pause, that brief, complete moment. Nothing moving, everything held. Out, the release, the contraction, the warmth of what leaves, the body returning to itself. Pause, the emptiness, the gap, the space before the next beginning. And in that space, just for this moment, notice what is present when the breath is not. The awareness, always the awareness. The quiet watching that doesn't need the breath to continue. That was there between heartbeats, between thoughts, between all the things that come and go. The awareness that is you before you are anything in particular. Rest there, in the pause, in the space between, in the awareness that holds everything and needs nothing. The practice of release. Buddhist meditation teachers sometimes describe the process of falling asleep as the most natural enlightenment experience available to everyone. Because in falling asleep, you do something that the most dedicated meditators spend years trying to learn how to do voluntarily. You release the self, the constructed, managed, narrated self, the one that is responsible for things and has opinions about things and is working toward things. That self temporarily dissolves, not permanently, not completely, but enough. The thread of continuity continues, but the grip of identity loosens. And in that loosening, something that is not the self, but is also not absent, something that the meditation teachers called awareness without object, or the ground of being, or simply the open sky, is briefly, naturally, directly experienced. Every person who has ever fallen asleep has experienced this. Most people have never noticed it because it happens in the moment of transition, in the gap between waking and sleeping that passes so quickly that the ordinary mind cannot catch it. But the meditators, who spent years cultivating the capacity to rest in that transitional space without immediately moving through it, reported that what was found there was exactly what all the teachings pointed at. Not nothing, not absence, a fullness, a completeness, a quality of pure, content-free awareness that carried no suffering because it carried no story, and no story meant no one to whom anything was happening. Just awareness, aware of itself, needing nothing, complete. Tonight, you are approaching that threshold. With each breath, a little closer. With each thought released, a little closer. With each moment of trusting the dark, a little closer. The threshold is near. You don't need to do anything to cross it. You only need to stop holding yourself back from it. Let the self loosen. Let the managed, narrated version of you rest. And find, in the space that opens as it does, the awareness that was always there underneath, complete, needing nothing, already home, the light that doesn't need the sun. There is a teaching in the Zen tradition about a light that doesn't come from the sun or the moon or any external source. The masters pointed at it in different ways. Some said it was the light of awareness itself, the quality by which anything is known, the knowing within which all experience takes place. Some pointed at the moment just before dawn, when the sky begins to lighten from within, as if the light were not arriving from outside, but emerging from the sky itself. Others simply asked their students to look for it in meditation. not with the eyes, but with the awareness that the eyes are part of. What they were pointing at was this: you are not in the dark tonight in the way you might think. The darkness outside, the absence of light in the room around you, is real, but inside the awareness, there is no darkness. Awareness illuminates everything it touches, not with visible light, but with the light of knowing. The thoughts are known. The breath is known. The sensations in the body are known. The very darkness of the room is known, which means, paradoxically, that it is illuminated. The absence of light is itself an experience, and experience requires the light of awareness to occur. You have never been in the dark, not in the sense that matters. The light that doesn't need the sun is always on. It is what is reading these words, not the eyes, but the awareness behind the eyes. It is what is following the breath, not the lungs, but the knowing of the breath. It is what will remain when the words end and the thoughts slow and the body completes its settling into rest. It doesn't sleep. It witnesses sleep. It witnesses the dissolution of the thinking self. It witnesses the return in the morning of the managed identity, but it, the awareness itself, the light that doesn't need the sun, it doesn't go anywhere. It is here. It will be here. It has always been here. Rest inside it. Let the thinking mind sleep while the awareness holds the night. You are safe. You are held. You are in the light that doesn't need the sun. The four qualities. The Buddhist tradition identifies four qualities that, when cultivated together, produce what the teachers called the divine dwelling, an inner environment so complete that external circumstances lose their power to fundamentally disturb it. They are loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. Tonight, as the practice deepens and the body rests and the mind begins its slow return to stillness, these four qualities can be invited, not as achievements, not as states to be forced into existence, but as seeds, as small, genuine intentions planted in the fertile ground of this quiet. Begin with loving kindness. Direct it first at yourself, which is often the hardest direction for those who are practiced at directing care outward. Simply the wish. May I be well. May I be at peace. May I be free from unnecessary suffering. Not as a demand, as a wish, as the kind of warm, uncomplicated goodwill you might feel watching a child sleep. May you be well. May you be at peace. Now, compassion, the recognition that tonight, as you rest, there are others in difficulty. Not to dwell in their pain, but to hold, briefly, the awareness that suffering is universal. That whatever you carry, others carry too, in their own forms. That you are not alone in the human experience of difficulty. And in that recognition, a quality of tenderness for yourself, for all the others in their own darknesses, finding their own ways through. Now, appreciative joy, the quality the Buddhists called mudita, the capacity to find genuine gladness in what is good, in what is working, in what is beautiful, however small. Tonight, right now, the breath is working, the body is held, the heart is beating. Something is present that is not suffering. Let there be gladness for that. Simple, uncomplicated gladness. And finally, equanimity, the quality that holds the others without tipping into their extremes, the steadiness that can be loving without being attached, compassionate without being consumed, joyful without being dependent on joy continuing, still without being detached. The balance, the center, the quality of being fully here, fully present, fully available, and also deeply, fundamentally okay. However the night goes, however sleep comes or doesn't come, however tomorrow arrives. Okay, here, at peace. These four qualities, planted as seeds in this quiet moment, grow in their own time. You don't need to tend them tonight. You only need to plant them, and then rest, while they grow in the dark, as all seeds grow, returning to the breath, one more time, simply the breath, after everything, after the settling and the stories and the practice and the teachings and the qualities and the awareness of awareness, simply this, the breath, right now, whatever it is doing, however it is moving, wherever it is in its cycle, whether you are at the top of an inhale or the bottom of an exhale or somewhere in between, just this, the breath, your oldest companion, the one thing that has been with you since the moment you arrived in the world, that will be with you until the moment you leave it. That is happening right now without any help from you. Come home to it, not as a technique, as a return, as a traveler who has been many places in the course of one evening, coming back to the place where they live, where everything is familiar, where nothing is required, where the door opens without a key and the room is warm and the bed is ready. The breath is home. You are home, in the breath, in this moment, in this body that is resting, in this night that is holding, in this peace that was always here. Nothing left to do, nothing left to reach for, nothing left to resolve or plan or review. Only this, the breath. Moving in, pause. Moving out, pause. In, out, in, out. The body settling deeper with each cycle, the mind releasing its grip with each exhale, the peace deepening with each breath, deeper, quieter, more complete, more home. Rest now into the breath, into the stillness, into the night that is holding you, into the peace that passes understanding, into the deep, complete, ancient rest that your body has been waiting for. It is here. You are here. Good night. One last breath together. In, slowly, fully, without forcing. Hold, just for a moment. The fullness, the pause. Out, completely, everything released, nothing held back. And in the silence after the exhale, before the next breath begins, the awareness, pure, simple, present, the light that doesn't need the sun. You, here, always here. Good night. Visualization, the mountain lake. Let an image form in your mind now, not a forced image, an invited one, the kind that arrives when you reach for it gently, without demanding that it be a particular thing. A lake, a mountain lake, high up, above the tree line, in a place where the air is thinner and cleaner, and the silence has a quality that doesn't exist at lower elevations. A lake that is fed by glacial melt, by water that has been ice for decades or centuries, slowly releasing into this stillness. The lake is very still, not because there is no wind, though right now there is none, but because the lake has a depth that the wind cannot reach. The surface responds to the wind when it comes. The depths do not. You are at the edge of this lake. Feel the ground beneath you. Solid, real, cold granite at this altitude, covered with the sparse grass that manages to grow up here where most things cannot. The ground is ancient. It was here before anyone thought to come here and look. It will be here long after. The water at the edge of the lake is clear. Clear in the way that only very pure water is clear, where you can see the bottom even at some depth, where the color is not the gray or green of lower waters, but something closer to the color of sky reflected perfectly. Look at your own reflection in the water, not with critical attention. Simply, there you are, reflected, reversed, a version of you that exists only in relationship to the still water that holds it. Now, pick up a small stone from the bank. Feel its weight, its smoothness if it's smooth, the specific shape of this specific stone, and drop it into the water. Watch the ripples. They expand outward from the point of impact, growing, moving, reaching across the surface. And then, as you watch, they slow. The furthest ripples reach the bank and return. Smaller now, the middle ripples meet the returning ones and cancel each other out. And the lake, gradually, returns to the stillness it was in before you dropped the stone. This is the mind. This is your mind, right now. The stone was today, the day that just ended, with everything it carried, everything it asked of you, everything it left unresolved. The ripples are the thoughts, still moving, still working their way to the edges and back, still visible on the surface. But the depths were undisturbed. And the surface, given time, given the same patience the lake has, which is the patience of something that has been still for longer than you've been alive, will return to the stillness it never left. You don't need to stop the ripples. You only need to wait. To be patient with the water, the way the lake is patient with the wind. The ripples will reach the edges. They will return. They will meet each other and diminish. And the lake will be still again. It is already being still again. Each breath, a little more. Each exhale, a ripple reaching the bank and dissolving. Each pause, a moment of the lake knowing its own stillness. Rest in the lake. Be the stillness beneath the ripples. Let the water become what it is. Clear, deep, still. Reflecting the sky above it without effort, without trying to be anything other than what it is. The lake is you. The stillness is yours. It was always yours. The forest. At night. One more visualization, if the mind is still enough to receive it. A forest. At night. The same forest that in daylight is full of movement and color, and the particular busy energy of a living ecosystem. At night, it is transformed. Not quieter, exactly. The night forest has its own sounds. The owls, the smaller creatures moving through the underbrush, the creak of branches in the wind. But different, slower, operating at a different frequency than the daytime. You are walking through this forest, not going anywhere, following a path that exists, a path that has been walked by others, that the undergrowth has given way to over years of use, that your feet find without effort even in the dark. The trees around you are enormous, much larger than they look in daylight, when the eye can take them in and categorize them and move on. At night, with only partial visibility, the trees seem to go on forever. Their trunks rise into darkness. Their canopy is a moving ceiling of shapes against a slightly lighter sky. You are very small in this forest, not in a frightening way, in a restful way. The smallness that means the forest is doing everything. The forest is being what it is, sustaining itself, living its enormous slow life. And all that is asked of you is to walk through it, which you are doing, step by step, feeling the soft ground, hearing the sounds of the living night around you, breathing the air that comes through here, which carries the smell of earth and wood and growing things, the smell that existed before any city, before any building, before anything that humans made, the ancient smell of the world being itself, and you, walking through it, small and temporary and perfectly belonging, are also the world being itself, made of the same elements, subject to the same rhythms, part of the same ongoing process that the trees are part of, that the soil is part of, that the night itself is part of, not separate from it, in it. The way you are in this night, the way you have always been in the larger world, part of it, held by it, moving through it, one step at a time, one breath at a time, until the step becomes smaller and smaller, and the path begins to blur, and the forest and the night and the walking and the breath all become part of the same seamless thing, which is simply this: being here, alive, at rest, in the ancient world that holds you without needing you to hold it back. Rest now, deeper, into the forest, into the night, into the ground that is as old as the mountain, and as patient as the lake, and as full of life as the forest, even when it seems, in the dark, to be completely still. Deeper. Good night. There are no more words after this. The words have done what words can do. They have carried you here, to this place that is closer than when you began, quieter than when you began, more ready than when you began. The rest of the journey is yours, not because the guidance ends and you are left alone, but because the deeper you go, the less language can follow. The territory of genuine rest is beyond words. It is where the thinking mind cannot reach, because the thinking mind is what is resting. What continues, what moves you the rest of the way, is the body's wisdom, the intelligence that has been running every night of your life, faithfully and without error, conducting the business of rest while the managing self stepped back. Trust it. It knows the way. It has always known the way. The breath, the dark, the body resting, the awareness holding, the peace that doesn't depend on anything. Present, complete, yours. Good night. The body scan, going deeper. Return once more to the body. Not the way we visited it at the beginning, with the survey, the checking, the movement from place to place. This time differently. This time with the awareness that the body has been settling while we have been here together, and what was tight an hour ago may be different now, and what was resting may be resting more completely. Simply feel the whole body at once, not part by part. As a whole, the entire field of physical sensation, everywhere the body is present, everything it is reporting, all of it at once, like hearing an orchestra rather than focusing on any one instrument. What is the quality of it? Heavier, perhaps, than it was. The limbs carrying more of their actual weight, now that the muscles have released some of their habitual holding. The contact with the surface beneath you more complete, More of the body in genuine rest against the mattress or cushion or floor. The breath, slower. The intervals between breaths slightly longer. The body needing less oxygen than it did when you arrived here, because the activity has decreased and the metabolism is shifting toward the rhythms of rest. The mind, quieter, not silent, not yet, and perhaps not tonight, and that is fine, but quieter. The thoughts moving more slowly, the urgency of them diminished. The sense that something must be resolved or planned or reviewed before rest is permitted. That sense is less insistent than it was. Something has changed. Not because you did anything remarkable, but because you were here, and the body and mind do this when you give them space and time, and the accompaniment of words that ask nothing of them except presence. They begin to return to their natural state, the state that is always there beneath the acquired states, the anxiety, the vigilance, the performance, the self-management, the natural resting state of a human animal in a safe place at the end of a day. This is it. This is what you have been returning to. And it is so simple, so ordinary, so completely available once the adding stops. The heart's natural rhythm. Feel the heartbeat if you can. Not by pressing anywhere, simply by becoming still enough that the body's central pulse becomes perceptible. In the chest, in the throat, perhaps in the fingertips or the temples if the stillness is deep enough. The heartbeat. This rhythm has been running since before you were born, since you were a collection of cells smaller than a grain of rice, already pulsing. It has never stopped through every experience of your life, the difficult ones and the joyful ones, the frightening ones and the peaceful ones. This rhythm has continued. It continued through every night of sleep you have ever had, every night when the managing self dissolved and the continuity was given over to whatever holds it. This rhythm continued, faithfully, without effort, without asking for your help or your attention or your management. It is the original meditation, the first practice, the deepest practice, the one that requires nothing of you except that you exist. Feel it now, and in feeling it, let there be, if you can, a quality of gratitude. Not performed gratitude, real gratitude if it's available. The simple recognition that something has been doing this for you, without interruption, for as long as you have been alive. Something in you is utterly faithful, utterly continuous, utterly devoted to your continuity in ways that require nothing from your conscious mind. Rest inside that faithfulness tonight. Let the rhythm that has never failed you carry you through this night the way it has carried you through every other night. It knows what it's doing. It is always known. Trust it. Silence. There is a moment in every meditation when the guidance becomes unnecessary, when the words that have been accompanying you through the dark begin to feel like something extra rather than something needed, when the territory they were mapping has been sufficiently traversed that you no longer need the map. That moment may be now, or it may not be. You may still want the accompaniment, the voice in the dark, the sense of someone walking alongside you through this passage. Either is fine, but it is worth knowing that the silence, when it comes, when the words end, and the quiet that was always underneath becomes the whole of what's present. That silence is not empty. It is full. Full of everything that has been building through this hour. Full of the stillness the body has been moving toward. Full of the release that has been happening beneath the words. Full of the ancient, faithful, continuous processes that have been at work since before you were aware of them. The silence is the destination. Not a destination that requires arriving at because you've been in it all along, but a destination in the sense of where you end up when everything else has been set down. Here, in the silence, in the dark, in the body that is resting, in the breath that is continuing, in the heart that has never stopped its faithful rhythm, in the awareness that holds all of it, quietly, completely, without effort or agenda or need for anything to be other than what it is. This is peace. This is the peace that doesn't depend on conditions. This is what the teachers were pointing at. You are in it. You have arrived. And the arriving required nothing except the willingness to stop leaving. Rest now, completely, in the silence, in the peace, in the faithful, continuous, ancient night that holds everything. Good night.